It's so funny because I feel like the people that I watch, like Laurel, especially one of my mentors, she will like
Mhm.
go live and she won't start talking immediately. And then you'll see like 3, 4, 5 seconds of dead air or whatever, which I find really funny. And so I just did that now because I'm like watching to see if the thing says live. But I
Mhm.
should know. You press the button, just start going. Doesn't really matter though. Anyway, Lorraine, today we are writing content for the commercial crawl space encapsulation service page, ultimately, is what it comes down to.
Mhm.
And you also know, Lorraine, that when we do this, we tend to, oh, and it's kind of funny because I was like, oh, I need to have my content writing mastermind clipboard ready for this, but then I realized, okay, it's all here in text, so I don't actually need it. Um, but we usually just start with the process and duplicate it.
Mhm.
And actually, I'm going to just paste this in as text again so that we can kind of look good to go over it. But we've got our reference list that we always have where, well, at least in our new process we have, where we have a bunch of people. The voices here range from content strategy and writing craft to semantic SEO and EEAT research, blah, 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 etc. A bunch of people that have an opinion on how this should be done. Not because we're going to follow everything they say, but because they work well as a way to critique the process that we're going through and the results that we get from it. And so, like, if you're really interested, if you're watching this, just pause and read some of the stuff that this says, and you'll understand our thinking. The content processes mastermind supports is not a keyword coverage exercise. It's the systematic construction of a site that Google reads as a genuine authority and homeowners experience as a resource they can trust. That's what it's all about. So that's what we're going for. These two outcomes pursued simultaneously and honestly. We're not trying to game the system. We're trying to give everybody what they want, which is Google wants to see that you're real and legitimate. The homeowner wants to feel like you understand what they're going through. That's really all it comes down to. Now, funny enough, today we're not doing homeowner content. We're doing business owner content because this is a commercial intent keyword where usually we talk about crawl spaces as homeowners understand them, but today we're talking about crawl spaces as a business owner might experience them. So, um, the structure of the process. In this prompt, even though the above talks about all these important people, then we get into, because this is context and then this is direction. Okay. We're going to now get into what process we're going to go through in order to create the content. And always I like to reflect on this stuff before we take action. So, given the topic we'll provide, what does this page have to accomplish? What's its job? What's it trying to achieve? We're give it one clear answer. What is this page trying to do? And that is going to be based on the keyword itself. So the keyword is going to reveal some of the page's intent, and then the other thing, like our context as a business is going to create the next layer of direction. So it's like saying we're going to Florida, and then we're saying we're going to Palm Beach, Florida. Like if you're in Texas and you got to go somewhere, if someone tells you Florida, you can get a lot closer. But if you know you got to go to Palm Beach, well, then you know even more closely where you need to get your directions to. And then you could travel for hours and hours before you have to worry about the exact address you're trying to get to because it really doesn't matter until you get closer to Palm Beach. So as we go through this process, we're going to get closer and closer to needing specific directions. But in the beginning, that's not exactly what we need. Every next stage we use is going to give us closer and closer to those specific directions. Local specificity, what is genuinely true about this place? And so again, this is going to bring us to the Palm Beach, and then we might find out we need to go to the Hilton, and what Hilton do we need to go to? We need to go to the one on the beach or whatever. So the human layer is going to talk about who is visiting this page. This is talking about the geolocation, and then the last thing we're going to bring in is our business owner, our client, our partners tone of voice and like approach to this problem, basically. So a little more context that ties it all together, basically explaining that this is the process we're going through. Lorraine, I'm pretty sure that this process doesn't bring the SERPs in, and the money page keyword one does bring the SERPs in.
Mm-hmm.
Because, or otherwise, it would say in here, like, two, we're going to look at what the competition is doing and what Google is rewarding, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to have that in here or not, and we'll see as we get further into the process. It's been a couple of weeks since I wrote anything, so we'll process one stage at a time. Please restate in your own words to ensure alignment. For me, this is so important. I am always doing this. Now, Lorraine, I wonder if me just talking through it like this already helps you think about it the
Understand. Yeah.
even more, which is so funny because you go through this process and it's that's a really healthy way of learning though too, is like you do it or I teach you,
Mm-hmm.
you do it, I come back and I basically teach you again, or like we do it together again,
Mm-hmm.
just for refinement's sake. So now we've got here, um, it's going to give it back in its own words. So we're building content creation process for local contractor websites. Goals content that earns genuine authority, while serving the homeowner making a real high stakes decision. Those two outcomes are treated as the same target. And it's true, they are. They're overlapping. The reference list isn't a reading list, it's a framework of people that are important and critical. When you give me a topic, we'll work through 4 stages. The critical operating rule, we complete one stage, stop and wait for your instruction before moving on to the next. Is that aligned? Yeah, we're aligned. Give me a topic and a market. No. So this prompt is for a totally different style of page than what we're writing right now. And so we can use this prompt as a suggestion, right? And Lorraine, this is so funny because like I had you starting to do this, right? And I
Yeah.
said, okay, get ready to do this. And you're like, okay, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT about it, blah, blah, blah. And my point is, if you just use the process and you know the process,
Mhm.
then you can come in here and just get to work, generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
We have a site architecture in the top level. We're talking about main services, crawl space encapsulation, crawl space repair. And some people might say waterproofing is weaved in there also. We've got subcategories that serve up authority to those pages. Now, this is just site hierarchy, and it could be good to include this, but it might not be perfectly necessary. So we got subcategories that serve up authority to those main pages, and the categories are warning signs, problems, and solutions. And the warning signs we're talking about literally the signals, and problems we're talking about, let's break it up like this, just for readability. And problems we're talking about people who, um, and problems we're talking about, we're answering questions about people who are problem aware. They realize that what is rotting versus smell or something like that. And then in solutions, we're talking about people who are solution aware. So it's like Joyce, support Jacks, etc. These are all in the same category. So to clarify, now this page that we were working on with this process was inside of this stack of problem solutions, warning signs. And what we're actually working on is outside the scope of that. And it's actually in the top level where it's like we're talking about crawl space repair and crawl space encapsulation. It's a main service page. Now, because of that, and Lorraine, can you prepare for me? Can you pull all the transcripts that you were going to use, the commercial stuff,
Oh, okay.
and drop them in Descript? And I will have to open Descript for that, but that would be good for preparation for later. But yeah, the page that we're working on obviously is about crawl space encapsulation. This page that we're working on sits at the top level. The keyword we're targeting is commercial crawl space encapsulation and repair. And I almost want to leave the word repair out of it and just do commercial crawl space encapsulation. And part of me is tempted to just search here. So let's go like this. Commercial crawl space repair. Commercial crawl space encapsulation. And see what we get for competitor pages. Crawl space repair services. Now, the interesting thing is nobody has a page on page one, on the search engines page one, that targets the commercial keyword at all. Google is just giving us generic results related to crawl space repair, even though the word commercial is attached to it. Now, encapsulation is a little bit different story because you get pages that are actually targeting commercial, but there's only a couple of them, I'm pretty sure. There's only one that I can see that's ranking on page one for this. And it's like they just talk a little bit about, like literally a tiny bit about commercial crawl space
Mhm.
encapsulation. But you got to understand, a single one of these jobs is easily can be worth $50,000, $100,000 to our client. And so we're not just going to be lazy and just pump out a little tiny bit of content like this. We want to really serve the people who are searching for this. Because at a six-figure job, even though our contractor is in central Illinois, they might travel to Florida or maybe Atlanta or something like that to do a commercial job. If those people say, like, yo, I saw your website on this, and clearly you're the only people that really care about doing this right. You're the only ones giving attention to the issue. So we want to work with you. I think my client would be happy for that. So we are going to target that. Now, repair, it kind of falls into the same category. If we rank for commercial crawl space encapsulation, then we're going to also talk about repair in there, or it will probably also rank for the repair keyword just because of the level of competition. I'm gonna just say we'll just stick with encapsulation on this keyword, but in a lot of this stuff, you have to consider that it's a judgment call. You have to make your own. Um, you have to make your own decision. In warning signs, we're talking about literally the signals. This page I'm working on sits at the top level. Keyword targeting is crawl space, commercial crawl space encapsulation. So it's targeting business owners. Your prompt for this was pretty good. And instead of me leading it, I'm gonna let it tell me. So that should make it very clear who we are targeting, what matters to them. Because this keyword has a specific intent. So sometimes, Lorraine, like you gave it that list of people like business owners, rent, what did you say? Property managers, stuff like that. And you're right. But sometimes if we give it a list like that, it will pigeonhole us into the stuff that we provided. You know what that means, pigeonhole?
Mhm.
You do? What it means?
I pigeon and
Pigeonhole means to like restrict us into a small space. It's forcing us into a corner. But when
oh.
you let it tell us, then it actually gives us the whole picture from its perspective.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just one job: convert a commercial property decision maker who is already solution aware into qualified lead by demonstrating that this contractor understands the specific stakes, liabilities, and operational realities of commercial crawl space problems in a way that a residential focused competitor cannot. Exactly. And so it's going ahead and saying what we would have told it, but it's doing a better job than us because it has a brain the size of Texas or whatever. Um, the keyword is not an informational search. Someone typing that, they're not wondering. They are not, they're like people that are looking for that work to be done. This page can't lead with education without signaling that it doesn't understand who it's talking to. And now it tempts me to look at, no, this isn't it. It tempts me to look at that page again,
Mhm.
right? Commercial crawl space encapsulation. This one, because I want to see, oh, is this different? No, it's the same one. Okay. Yeah, this is just so generic. It's really not saying anything. And that's the
Yeah.
problem with most contractor pages is that it's like the laziest possible thing you could do. It's basically just putting some words that relate to this keyword without actually serving the intent, which is what our page is going to be all about. Um, they're, they already identified a problem and they're looking for a professional solution and they want to know whether this company is the right one to handle a commercial job. These guys have a page about commercial encapsulation and it doesn't even say anything about like, we're the guys for this. It's so lazy. It's so lazy. So we're going to go and blow them out of the water to the best of our ability. Singular job is not to explain encapsulation, which is funny because that's all that their page does. It's to eliminate doubt that this contractor is equipped to handle commercial work and to make the path to contact feel like it's the obvious next step for someone with the real accountability on the line. It's true. These guys have a lot at risk, and so they need to pick the right contractor for this job. It's not like it's just their house, it's their livelihood. So I would completely agree. Now, I would say it already answered this question to some degree, but I am going to say I'm still going to use this prompt, which is basically going to say, tell me more about what this page needs to literally have. That's really all this from a human talking to a human. That's the kind of question. But when you're talking to the machine, you need to give it very specific instructions in order to get the result that you want. Minimum topical ground for relevance. The page must signal to Google and the decision maker that it understands commercial encapsulation as a different problem from residential. Now it's going to say what type of properties. And it's funny, Lorraine, because this is where I was talking about. It's like, we want to let it give us the list. Scope and scale. They're larger, they're more complex, they have more systems, more use considerations, liability and compliance, documentation and process expectations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the floor. Okay. Oh, look, and it's so funny. It's like literally gives the same framing. Proceed with stage one. That's good. Okay, so you feel like you've already done stage one. Um, so here we go. Consolidate stage one into a clean and comprehensive brief. And so it doesn't get too long, I gotta say concise. Stage one brief, commercial crawl space encapsulation. Convert a commercial property decision maker It's already solution where into a qualified lead by demonstrating that this contractor understands the specific stakes, liabilities, and operational realities of commercial crawl space work in a way that a residential focused competitor cannot match. Now, just for fun, I'm going to demonstrate the what doing the least looks like, right? Because some contractors will come in and just do this, and they'll say, right, me a website, web page for the keyword commercial crawl space capsulation for my website. The brand name is My Guys Crawl Space, and we service East Central Illinois. They'll just do that, and even this might be more. And okay, this is bad. It's giving me code. That's not what I'm looking for. Break me web page content. So let's do this. Look, some guys might just do this. This is the whole thing that they do. Who this page is talking to, what this page must not do, minimum topical ground relevance threshold. Yeah, this is fine. Now, this is where we're going to talk about the location specifics. Like we laid out in the beginning, we've got 4 steps. 1, the page's job. 2, local specificity. So now we're going to move on to that. Our service area is East Central Illinois, the 4 major population centers we're serving. None of this matters. Are like the little edits I'm making are Bloomington, Normal, Decatur, and Champaign. We're somewhere in the middle of those 4 spots. That's crucial for moving on to stage 2. Proceed. Bam. Versus this. This is what you've got. And it's kind of funny because it immediately does what our page said it shouldn't do. What is this? It defines what it is. Signs. It's treating this like they're a homeowner, basically. Here's our process. Industries we serve, the benefits, why choose us. And it's so funny because it's so generic. Like any contractor page will simply just say this. Locally owned and operated, blah, 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 serving East Central Illinois. Now, this is actually a pretty accurate crawl space. I mean, a service area. That's crazy to
Yeah.
me. That's so funny. Now, truth is, if you're looking at this and you're saying, oh, wow, this is more than I have on my website, I should just do this. Yeah, maybe you're right. Go ahead and just do this. If you're looking for the easy way out, do this. But there's guys like me that are going to go way harder and do way more, and that's what you're up against, right? So we've got all these specifics, like for instance, knowing about the soil. Let's see, soil. All this page says is we know the soil, the conditions, and the local building codes. In our page, we're going to talk about the soil in great detail because it has an important impact on the situation. And theirs, we're just making a claim, but they're not substantiating the claim. That's the problem. Commercial building stock, what it means for this page, etc. So we're building the building blocks, the foundation, the resources to pull from. And again, I wonder, Lorraine, what you're getting from this. From everything stage 2 revealed about this place, identify the single condition or reality that most directly shapes the mental and emotional state of the person who just searched the target keyword. So now we're bringing the human element in. And like I said, I know because I write this content and so does Lorraine. We know that the soil is like the biggest negative impact on a crawl space in our customer service area. And so
Yeah.
that gets tied into the content that we write. And the AI is identifying that as well.
Yeah.
They're not dealing with a new problem. They're dealing with the problem that's been accumulating for decades. We know this also. A facilities manager, property manager, or a building owner responsible for a property and these 4 areas or were like around there. They got to answer to a board. They got to answer to tenants. They got to answer to an ownership group, etc. The stakes are serious because there's a lot of money on the line. Somebody probably complained or they smelled something or whatever. There's a real, they can't put it off any longer. Control the anxiety. Yeah, I mean they know what a business owner goes through, that's for sure. Um, Underneath is like, man, this could really be bad and it could cost me a lot of money. They have real fears, they have real concerns, and that's what this page is all about. It's about meeting them where they're really at. And so that's why our process works so well. It's because it takes things in a order of importance. Now, this is where I need those resources, Lorraine. Did you send them to me?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I did.
I'll pull up the script. I'll pull up
Oh,
Slack.
no, I sent it on our
Yeah, yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sorry. I'm in speed mode. You know me. I had a
Yeah.
coffee. So I'm all jacked up and I'm going fast through this stuff. Here are the transcripts from owners of My Guys Crawl Space, Jeff and Chris. Given this page's purpose, the local conditions, and the range of human states arriving on this page, how would these specific people naturally express these specific truths to this specific visitor? Because we can't say homeowner because the context is different. Without the voices overriding the job the page has to do. So if you're paying attention, then you're seeing there's a lot of reason and purpose to the approach that we're taking. Um, I didn't click descript. Okay. Oh, that was a lot of stuff. Jeff talking about their commercial property project. Hey, Jeff, here, my guys over at. Okay. Download this. Download these. Yeah, okay. Nice. Little Timmy's questions. And then 6-8 is a reel that was about a commercial property that they actually did.
Mhm.
Now, there's a reason that we do this in this specific order, and it's because if we start this sooner, it's going to adopt their voices too soon. We want to do the first 3 steps in like a scientific, methodical, engineered way, and then we bring the human element in. Jeff is a systems thinker who explains like a teacher and earns trust through transparency. Chris is the emotional anchor. He connects the work to outcomes that matter to real people. Interesting. Together, they're not a brand performing values. They're 2 men who built something because they saw an industry doing it wrong and decided to do it differently. And the whole website, because we do this process, sounds like them and it aligns with how they would communicate and how they actually work. And so that has a big impact on the level of trust and authority that this page and this website brings. And that's an anchor. It's something that separates us from the competition, but it also shows a next level of authenticity to Google. Lead with the job. Jeff never wastes time in the crawl space. He doesn't on the page. The commercial visitor already knows what the encapsulation is, and that's part of why this page is a failure. The page opens where Jeff opens on a commercial job, acknowledging the scale and complexity of what's actually being managed. Explain the why behind the what. And this is what I was talking about, substantiation. If you're going to make a claim, you need to substantiate it. You need to back it up. We're not just going to say you should do this. We're going to tell you why. Just like this video that I'm making right now. I'm not just saying do this. I'm telling you this is why it's important to do this. Name the problem with cheap and wrong before the visitor brings it up. Here's why doing it this way is wrong. Here's why cheaping out is the wrong move, etc., etc., etc. So what this voice never does on this page, it doesn't over-explain. It doesn't use relational content. It doesn't perform here. Okay, yep. This is fine. Basically, it just pulled everything that was necessary from the process. That's all we're looking for. Now we're creating an outline. So we're going to actually get the rubber meets the road here. We've so far spent about 30 cents putting this together. Just so you know, I'm using an API and it costs money for every token that we use. But, you know, some guys are like, hey, I don't want to spend any money. Again, a single job from this page could be worth 60, 70, $80,000. So we're not going to cheap out when it comes to putting this page together. Given everything established in this stages 1 through 4, produce a minimum effective dose content outline for this page. Not a design brief, not a content strategy document, a lean section by section outline that tells a writer exactly what each section needs to accomplish and nothing more. Every section earns a place or it doesn't appear. Don't use everything we surfaced. Be decisive. And then if we're happy with the outline, then we will start writing the content. So this is where we review, because all of our work has led up to this. So don't get lazy now. This is where you really got to get in and make sure it's doing what it's meant to do. Now, Lorraine, I'm showing you this and I'm talking through it, right? Am I
Mm-hmm.
already engaging with it on a deeper level than you would, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know you. I know when you get into this process, you get locked in and you're just going through it. But me, and I think you're hearing what my reasons are. You know, like I want to,
Yeah.
I have a responsibility here to make sure that this page turns out the way that it should.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, name the stakes. Establish immediately that commercial crawl space problems carry a different order of consequences than residential. Moisture under a commercial property affects this, that, this, etc. Now it talks about page isn't the same as residential, and here's why that matters. Like, yeah, we're a residential company, but we know the difference and we get that it makes a difference. So don't just work with just anybody. You need to work with people that know and understand the difference. Now, how this is where we prove it. Here we say we know there's a difference. Here's where we show you we know there's a difference. Here's what happens if it goes wrong. So if you go with someone else and they do any of this stuff, you're gonna wish that they hadn't. Who we are and why that matters. Now we're gonna tie it back into our values, our history. And then this is the inspection step to offer CTA. Now this is a great page. It's not too much stuff. You can see that it takes us through a reasonable process. What's at risk? Why commercial is unique? What it involves to do it in a commercial in cap? And if you got to remember, look at the competition. All these guys said was basically nothing. Commercial buildings can get issues from situations. That can lead to this. We encapsulate it, that's going to fix the problem. And that's all they really say. They're not they're not bringing me any comfort if I'm dealing with the $1 million problem and I want and look at this is a 3D rendered image. It's not even a real photo. The whole thing to me is crazy. So anyway, we'll keep going. We don't need to keep picking on those guys. We have everything we need in this is what it comes down to. I already have that copied. Now we'll write the page section by section. Follow the outline exactly. I don't know about that. Stop after each section for instruction. I want to see what the other one looked like. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so it was the same kind of concept here. And this is good. We haven't gotten to the SEO process yet. We're just writing the content from the perspective of what does this page's content need to cover. Doing the SEO to this page is a separate process. And so some people are going to want to combine those things, but in reality, it's healthier to keep them separate. You want to let the writer be the writer, let the SEO person be the SEO person. So now we'll let it write these two sections. Start with sections 1 and 2. We need to stay concise and only serve the needs of our goals. Keep the reading at a 7th grade level or below. So it's going to be accessible to anybody who reads it. A problem under a commercial building is not a homeowner problem, it's a liability problem. You're immediately condensing the stakes into a single sentence or thought. When moisture goes unmanaged between a commercial property, it doesn't stay beneath the property. It works its way into the floor framing. It drives up humidity levels that affect tenants, equipment, and air quality. It creates conditions that accelerate mold growth, structural deterioration, and the kind of damage that shows up on inspection reports and insurance renewals. Honestly, brilliant. It's talking to the intent, the desire, the situation that someone who's searching for commercial crawl space encapsulation is actually up against. If you manage, own, or maintain a commercial property in Bloomington, Normal, Decatur, or Champaign, and you already know you have a crawl space moisture problem, this page is for you. Not a homeowner page with a different headline. Built for the specific conditions, the specific consequences, and specific expectations that come with commercial work. This page's content is a little bit on the nose, but I think that this is how Jeff and Chris would communicate it, and that's why it's written this way. Most crawl space companies do residential work. Some of them will take a commercial job. That's not the same thing. Honestly, this is how Jeff would talk about it. The more I read it and I try to think, does this sound like a reel that Jeff would put out? It does. And so, like, it literally sounds like Jeff's tone of voice, and that's so cool. In East Central Illinois, the conditions underneath are working against you, et cetera, et cetera. I think that this content is great, and I'm just going to keep going and let it do its content. And the reason that I can do that is because of all the legwork that we put in above. And how many sections did we have? 6? 7? We have 6. And so I can just literally let it do its job, and then we're done. We've written the content. And there is another step to this process, which is doing the SEO. But we can handle that separately. That can be its own stream. Lorraine doesn't need to be part of that because she's a writer. She's not the SEO person. So we've got section 3, what a proper commercial encapsulation already actually involves. What happens when it's done wrong. Who we are and why that matters. Jeff spent years in crawl space and foundation. Chris brings the same standard. The team is growing. For a commercial client, that history and standard are part of what you're hiring, not just a crew with equipment, a company with a clear record of why it exists and how it operates. If you have this is the CTA. If you have a commercial property, the next step is an assessment. Here's what it looks like. You reach Jeff or Chris, not a call center, not a scheduling service. We'll ask a few questions. Then we'll get on site. We'll go through the full crawl space, no pressure. We answer our phones. If we miss you, we'll call back. Caller message. It's just well-written content. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to, just for fun, we've spent 70 cents on this page. That's less than $1 to write the best. And I'm not trying to be puffed up chest here. I'm showing you that our process works to create content that outperforms every other page that's related to this on the internet based on intention alone, based on necessity, based on principles. Let's put it that way. Now, here is the generic page. Now, put yourself in the shoes of the panel we started with. Expert panel we started with. Strictly from a content writing perspective. Not for SEO weight. We haven't SEO'd this content yet. Compare our result with this other page that was written for this keyword for our website. Who wins and why? Now it's going to roast this page. Our page versus the comparison page. Our wins, it's not close. What the comparison page gets wrong. It was written for the keyword, not the reader. And the thing about Google now is that it's not optimizing for the keyword, it's optimizing for the search intent. Every voice on our reference list would identify this immediately. The comparison page opens with generic. It says nothing that is true only of my guys, only of this region, or only of this reader. It's just generic. Will Reynolds would call this exactly what it is, a page built from what the keyword tool suggested, not from what the human searching needs to hear. And this is where most contractors are going to fail and fall apart because they don't understand that principle, which is that we need to care about the person that's looking for this page. That's what matters. It's not just about having the page on the website. The page is meant to do a specific purpose. So if you are a kitchen renovator and you're renovating someone's kitchen, are you just checking a box? There's a fridge, there's an oven, there's a counter. No, you need to design it for the home and for the person, right? It needs to fit the style of their house. It needs to fit the construction. It needs to fit the size, etc. And we're doing the same thing with writing the content. It explains to someone who already knows. The commercial decision maker who typed that keyword, they already know what it is. Content that misjudges its reader fails the reader before it fails the algorithm. Exactly. It's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it frustrates me. When I go to talk to somebody and they treat me like I don't know anything about the topic, rather than at least asking me, hey, how familiar are you with this? Well, they're not treating me like an individual. They're treating me like a number, right? If you go to buy a set of golf clubs, and the people that sell you the golf clubs, they don't care about how much golfing you've done, what you prefer, what your strengths and weaknesses are. They just try to sell you whatever golf clubs you're standing next to, or whatever is going to make them the most commission that day. You're going to leave and go shop somewhere else, especially if you're a sophisticated buyer. And someone who's going to spend $100,000 on a crawl space job is a sophisticated buyer, whether you acknowledge that about them or not. So this is going to break down what's wrong and why ours is better, etc. But I'll just give you the summary because what I just explained about the principles is really what matters. The comparison page is what happens when content production starts from a keyword and works outward. Our page is what happens when it starts from people and works towards giving the people what they want. Our page gets people to pick up the phone, and that's the idea. Not only does it rank, but when someone gets there, you're not embarrassed by what they see. So, and again, this understands that the principles are what matter. It's saying, okay, you could put an FAQ section on this. Sure, you could, but by the time we get here with the content that we wrote, FAQ section is like, it doesn't fit the 80-20 rule. We don't have to create more content for this page to be a win. This page is already a home run. Lorraine, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it
Where's that
has
ending?
not has all of the things that we need, like from the problem what the actual consumers actually cares about, and we've put a lot of effort on this page. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
it
mean,
worked.
our process is what makes it win.
Yeah.
If you're jacked into the process. Granted, this process went smoothly. I didn't really have to change much, but
Mhm.
there were a few words that I caught that you might not have caught, right? Little tweaks
Mhm.
that I made.
Yeah, I mean, on the homeowner part,
Yeah,
you change it to visitors
right.
and stuff. Uh-huh.
Yeah, those are the kind of things I'm expecting you to catch. And when you don't, I'm like, Lorraine, what did you do? But you get it.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, cool. So this is our content, and this content is going to move to the SEO optimization, search engine optimization phase next where we will take this through and we'll make sure the keywords are right. All the topics that we need to cover are covered, but I will later today, I will do another live stream of that. So I will go in and run this through our SEO process, and you will see the stage between writing the content and optimizing the
Yes.
content. And then maybe Lorraine and I will go into
Layout.
the layout, exactly. And maybe we'll start from scratch on the layout situation. We'll see. But I did have
Yeah.
some meditations on that last night, but we'll talk about that in its own stream.
All right.
All right, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, catch you later.